Hey there. So I just wanted to share this project with you. I've seen these wall hangings at the Dollar Tree for a while, and I've been itching to find a reason to buy one and use it in a project. And I was inspired by people on Pinterest who are painters who paint these little landscapes and then put ornate little window picture frames around them that makes you look like you're looking out into this fantastic landscape. And since I'm not an amazing painter, I thought when I found these prints at the thrift store for 99 cents a piece that the Dollar Tree window hanging would be the perfect dupe. So I decided to, for myself, use Van Gogh's Cafe Terrace. So here I am, I'm positioning the window how I would like the scene to appear through the window. I'm tracing it, and I will be cutting that out in a moment, you'll see. I also remove the rope hanger and I take off the piece at the front. I take the welcome off first and then I decide I want to take the other piece off. You don't have to do that, but I did. I just used a butter knife and pried it off. Kind of scraped it, any residual glue off. You could keep it on there and decorate it however you'd like. You could make it like a little window box or something like that. But I wanted the focus to be on what was outside of the window for this project. You'll see in a moment I customize my paint job to reflect this painting, but you could customize the paint job on your project to fit whatever painting or whatever style that you want. So that's a nice thing about this project too. So I just lined it up, made sure I like how it looks there. I mean, it's kind of final at this point, but just in case I needed to make any adjustments. Then I have some Fast and Final I'm going to use to patch the holes where the string was. Any kind of, hole patch would work for this. My kitty had to put her 2 cents in and play with some of the leftover string. If you have cats, you know cats and crafts, they go hand in hand. You just have to be really careful that they don't get a hold of anything that will really hurt them because they will go for the deadliest thing possible for some reason. But here all she's playing with is just a little piece of paper, so it'll be fine. She gets bored with it eventually. Okay, and then so I have some artist acrylic paints I've had for a while, using not necessarily primary colors, but just some nice bright, vibrant colors. I start off, I paint the entire window frame with this beautiful blue color. I'm trying to kind of pull some of the colors from the painting into the window frame. So there'll be some yellow, some blue, a little bit of red, and also some green. I'm going to layer them over each other and you'll see how I do that. I'm going for something messy, or not necessarily messy, but layered, maybe a little more impressionistic, non-literal, soft. I think if I have another print, a Monet print there too, that you saw at the beginning, that would be really beautiful. And the a similar technique, but with really more pastel colors, just to mimic the scene. Or you can also go with something more contrasting. That's also an option too. I could have just painted this like a white color or like a vibrant yellow. But I wanted to kind of try to evoke the mood of the painting in my paint job. This goes really quickly. These are made out of a lightweight chipboard material, so it's really easy to work with. This was the part that took me the longest, just getting the first coat of paint on. Trying to get in like most of the little nooks and crannies, and honestly, spray paint would probably work well with this, but I didn't know if that would cause it to bend. And then I had this crackle medium, So I decided to use that. There are lots of different crackle mediums that you can use, artists versions, crafter versions. Anything will work for this project if you like the way that it looks. And then the thing to remember with this kind, like the acrylic kind that you use, oh, I'm not really sure what's happening with my camera there. It's getting a little crazy looking. Sorry. Anyway, if the thicker and the broader the strokes that you use, the bigger the crackle, and the thinner and the shorter the strokes that you use, the smaller the crackle. And you can see what I mean in a moment. And because I'm impatient, I used my hair dryer to move the process along. I was trying to make this kind of like a 30-minute project. So here's what it looks like when it's all dry. You can see the crackle, how small it is. And then at the bottom, you can see it's bigger, kind of. I probably would have done smaller strokes and a thinner coat at the bottom as well, but I'm so happy with the way that it looked in the end. I haven't used this in a while, so I just was experimenting. So now I'm going to be painting some of the other colors over top of the blue and creating kind of a mottled effect, almost as though it's been painted over a lot of times. This is a scene in Paris. Obviously, whatever room you're looking out the window of is probably very old, the building, and it's probably been painted over a bunch of times. And maybe it's Van Gogh's window. Maybe he painted it. Who knows? You can use your imagination. So here I've got some red and some green, some yellow, and I'm going over it. And then I kind of dab some of it off. I'm using just various techniques, like kind of dry brushing almost. I dab a lot of the paint off, then I paint some on, blend some things in, and then I use a cloth and kind of, wipe some off so that the paint gets into the cracks of that crackle medium. I'm just making sure that I cover all of the window frame on the inside. The yellow is pretty thin, so I kind of have to keep going over some spots with the yellow just so that you can see it. And this is where you can just really have fun. And if you don't love it, you can just, after the crackle paint, that kind of puts like a clear coat on it. You can get some baby wipes or just like a wet paper towel and kind of wipe this off. Start over again if you don't like it. But I'm just kind of rubbing off a lot of the top coat just so that you can see more of the blue underneath and you can see how it's really getting that paint in the crackles there, making it look like an old weathered door frame or window frame. And if you have an older house, or if you've been in older buildings, you know that wood finishes, particularly paint and shellac, they kind of crackle and alligator. And so that's kind of what I was going for here with this. This is a really good project to practice some of your painting techniques and just try out different paints or use up paints that you have. If you have bottles of paint with a little amount left in there, this is like the perfect kind of project for that. So then once everything was mostly dry, I got my brush with a little bit of white paint and I dry brush some paint on, and then I have a wet wipe and I'm wiping the white paint over, and it's getting the white into those cracks. And you'll see I'm not leaving it like that. I'm actually getting the white paint to sink into the cracks more to make them pop, so that from far away you can see them a little bit better. So you can see I did a couple of layers of paint treatment on this one. Yeah, I just kept experimenting and layering until I was happy with what I had. And this was a very low stress project. It was soothing to be able to just mess around with paint. I feel like paint is one of those mediums that's just very soothing. It has a very stress reducing quality about it, especially if you just let your creativity take over. If you're not really trying to accomplish a specific thing, um, you just let it flow. I think it's really therapeutic and I recommend it to anyone. So, this project is really great for that because you're trying to create a vibe, but it's very forgiving and you can kind of just mess with color and texture and let it go. So, I'm going to leave you with some music and let you watch me finish this. Here I'm just using some white paint to highlight the edges of all the openings in the window frame to help the picture, the painting behind, pop more, since the colors of the frame are kind of similar in value to the print itself. I'm just finishing this up and then I'll leave you with the actual audio of when I assemble. And you can see I glue it together and I make a little wire hanger for it. I used a little bit of gilding wax along the edges and a little bit on the front just to add a little bit of shimmer. On the edges, I just wanted to cut down on that white line from the print. You could use paint or a marker, whatever you wanted, but I happen to have this. It's very similar to Rub and Buff, which you could also use. Just use a very little amount, especially on a project this small. Because this is so light, all I needed to do is create a loop out of some wire and hot glue it to the back. Then I put a piece of paper over the top just to further secure it, and that holds it perfectly. It's so lightweight, I just use these little ornament clips from a Command. I ordered them on Amazon. Here is what it looks like hanging up. I see it coming in and going out, and I'm constantly inspired by it. I love it. When the light hits it the right way, it looks like those lights are really glowing in that cafe. I hope that you choose to do something like this for yourself and let your creativity just take you where it wants to. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.